Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question. Well, you can always email Fred a question. It's fred@planttalkradio.com, or just go to our website, planttalkradio.com, and click on the Ask Fred button. And Dawn sent one in, and she says, I have a Jackmanii. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Mm-hmm.
Jackmanii Clematis. It's about 6 years old. It's always been beautiful in bloom, and I do enjoy it. The last several years, though, some of the foliage has been yellow. Not all the foliage, just some of it. The plant seems to be happy enough and continues to grow through the season. I should also add that I do not routinely fertilize it. Thanks for any info you can provide. And any answers for Dawn on the yellow leaves?
Yes. Yes and no, actually. But the Jackmanii is one of what I think is the thriftiest of the Clematis. Now, other people would say, well, this, that, and the next thing. But Jackmanii is just tough as nails. When it's put in the ground in the right place, and occasionally that you have to move it to get to the right place after a year's try. But in any event, Jackmanii is another one of my learning instances. New neighbor, we moved in November. Come spring, we at least knew her name and were being congenial. And I was leaving the driveway one day, and she was literally whacking the Clematis down to about 12 inches tall on either side of her 16-foot garage door. And I said, Mrs. So-and-so, that probably isn't the best thing to do. A little tough on the plant and so on. She said, well, I've been doing it for years and it works. And I lived with it without much further comment. And that rascal grew up and grew across the wire arrangement she had above her 16-foot door from both sides and was absolutely magnificent flower. Yeah. Now then, with the non-fertilization and so on, I'm suspecting that maybe she's leaving the plant up, and that's okay. It's okay also in the very early spring before much growth of any kind starts to cut it off anywhere from 12 to 36 inches high and let it start over again, etc. But there, on a 6-year-old plant, it isn't uncommon for some of the earliest stems to be pinched out at the crown, to be broken over time with wind whipping. Actually, a little disease, or, well, I'm not going to call it a disease. A little, if you will, hardening of the arteries takes place, where the vascular system in that older stem isn't working well. New stuff is coming along, carrying the load. I would say that fertilization is a recommended procedure, but I would go light. To push any plant too hard with fertilizer, you can actually cause a bit of a change in the physiology of the plant, and they will stop being so much heavy flowering. So a little bit just to keep it in condition, and then I would say, if anything, watch and follow the stem down that has the yellow on it. Maybe snip it off and get it out of the way, because I've seen this before, physically removing the degenerating parts and let the rest of it go on and everything's fine.
Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Howard and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
Circle270media.com